What if I told you that Africa is the youngest continent in the world? More than half of Africans are under 25 years old. This means that the demographic, economic, and cultural future of the planet is largely being shaped on this continent. Pan-Africanism is therefore not a mere historical idea, a relic of the struggles for independence. It is a living, contemporary movement that shapes the realities of tomorrow. In this course, we will explore how Pan-African ideals are being reinvented today through technology, economics, culture, and governance. Forget the old images of dusty conferences. 21st century Pan-Africanism is a driving force for innovation, integration, and African renaissance. We will see how tech startups are transforming lives, how the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, is reshaping trade, how the African Union's Agenda 2063 is paving the way for a prosperous and united continent. We will also analyze persistent challenges, such as inequalities and conflicts, while highlighting the solutions imagined by young entrepreneurs and artists. This course will show you that Pan-Africanism is not an abstract concept, but a dynamic reality that directly influences your daily life, whether you are in Africa or in the diaspora. Get ready to discover a continent in the midst of change, where the past serves as a lesson, but the future is the only horizon. SEP, the renewed foundations of modern Pan-Africanism. Classical Pan-Africanism, that of Kwame Nkrumah and Marcus Garvey, aimed at political unity and liberation from colonial yoke. Today, this unity manifests itself in new forms. The African Union, AU, founded in 2002, is the institutional expression of this will. But its action, particularly through Agenda 2063, is deeply rooted in the contemporary. Agenda 2063 is a strategic plan for the socio-economic transformation of the continent over 50 years. It is not about redoing the past, but about building an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful future. Among its flagship projects is the creation of the AfCFTA, which aims to create a single market of over 1.4 billion consumers. This is a colossal economic project that could lift millions of people out of poverty. But modern Pan-African unity is not limited to treaties. It is also lived through diasporas. Afro-descendants from America, Europe, or the Caribbean play a key role, not only by sending remittances, but by bringing skills, investments, and ideas. Initiatives like the Year of Return in Ghana in 2019 symbolized this renewed bond. Contemporary Pan-Africanism is therefore a global network, connected by the internet and by a shared awareness of challenges and opportunities.
Promote a positive image of the continent. SAP, the technological revolution and youth entrepreneurship. One of the pillars of contemporary Pan-Africanism is the meteoric rise of African tech. Tech hubs are emerging in all major cities, from Nairobi to Lagos, via Cape Town and Kigali. This is not a copy of Silicon Valley, but a local adaptation to the specific needs of the continent. For example, mobile money solutions like M-Pesa in Kenya have revolutionized financial inclusion, allowing millions of people without bank accounts to make transactions. Startups are creating applications for agriculture, health, education, and energy. These young entrepreneurs, often trained in African universities or from the diaspora, embody a new leadership. They are not seeking to leave the continent, but to transform it from within. Companies like Flutterwave, Payments, Andila, Developer Training, and Jumia, e-commerce become unicorns, valued at over $1 billion. They show that African capitalism can be innovative and competitive. This entrepreneurial wave is deeply Pan-African. It connects markets, creates jobs for young people, and offers African solutions to African problems. It transcends national borders. A Senegalese developer can work for a Kenyan startup, and a Ghanaian designer can sell their creations on a Nigerian platform. This is bottom-up economic integration, driven by technology and ambition. Governments, aware of this issue, are creating favorable environments with policies to support innovation, as in Rwanda, which has become a regional tech hub. This digital revolution is a source of pride and a driver of social change. It is proof that Pan-Africanism can be a concrete economic project, generating wealth and solutions as culture, identity, and Pan-African soft power. Contemporary Pan-Africanism is also a cultural revolution. Afrobeats, popularized by artists like Burna Boy, Wizkid, and Davido, has become a global music genre. It conveys messages of African pride, unity, and resistance. African fashion, with its wax fabrics and innovative designers, is appearing on international runways. Cinema, with Nollywood in Nigeria and Senegalese or South African films, tells African stories by Africans, breaking stereotypes. This massive cultural production is a tool of soft power. It changes the perception of the continent, transforming it from a place of misery to a center of creativity and dynamism. Platforms like Netflix are investing heavily in African content, proving its global appeal. This contemporary Pan-African culture is syncretic. It draws on traditions, but reinvents them with modern influences. It is spoken in English, French, Portuguese, and hundreds of local languages.
Community. Festivals, like the Pan-African Festival of Algiers or the Lagos Jazz Festival, are places of meeting and sharing. Artists are often spokespersons for social causes, denouncing injustices, inequalities, or human rights abuses. Cultural Pan-Africanism is therefore a space of resistance and construction of a common imaginary. It is essential for forging a collective African identity, necessary for the success of political and economic projects, SCP governance, challenges, and solutions for the future. Contemporary Pan-Africanism cannot ignore the challenges. Corruption, conflicts, gender inequalities, climate change, and debts are major obstacles. But solutions are being imagined within a Pan-African framework. For example, the fight against terrorism in the Sahel is carried out by regional forces with the support of the AU. Migration management is being rethought at the continental level. The AU has launched initiatives for transparency and good governance, such as the African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM. Agenda 2063 emphasizes good governance, democracy, and respect for human rights. Young Africans are very active in citizen movements. They use social networks to denounce abuses and demand accountability. Civil society organizations, like Afrobarometer, measure public opinion on governance. Today's Pan-Africanism is therefore also a project of democratization and social justice. Education is another crucial area. The AU declared 2024 the Year of Education. The goal is to train African talents to meet the continent's needs. Initiatives like Pan-African universities, scholarships, and exchange programs, such as the Mwalimu Nyerere program, aim to create a connected and supportive African elite. The language question is also debated. How to build unity with linguistic diversity? Some propose promoting African languages as working languages of the AU, alongside English, French, and Portuguese. Contemporary Pan-Africanism is an open, complex, but hopeful project. It adapts to the realities of the world, without losing sight of the ultimate goal, a united, prosperous, and influential Africa. SCP. To go further, let's look at concrete cases of Pan-African innovation. Take the example of the AfCFTA. It is the largest free trade area in the world by number of participating countries. But its implementation is complex. It requires infrastructure, harmonization of standards, and the fight against non-tariff barriers. Its success will depend on the political will of member states and the ability of businesses to seize opportunities. Another example is the project for a single African currency, the ECO. Although its launch has been postponed, the idea of a common currency to facilitate trade remains a goal.
In Wall Initiative, which aims to restore arid lands in the Sahel, is a Pan-African project to combat desertification. The management of natural resources, such as rare minerals needed for green technologies, is an issue of sovereignty. African countries seek to process these resources locally, rather than exporting them raw. This creates added value and jobs. Finally, the question of Africa's representation in international institutions, UN, IMF, World Bank is central. Contemporary Pan-Africanism advocates for reform of these institutions, so that they better reflect the demographic and economic weight of the continent. The motto One Africa, One Voice summarizes this aspiration. The deepening of this course shows that Pan-Africanism is a lens for understanding the global issues of the 21st century. SEP. To understand and remember the key concepts of contemporary Pan-Africanism, use the 3P method. Projects, like the AfCFTA, personalities, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders, and problems, challenges and solutions. For each theme, identify a concrete project, an emblematic figure, and a major problem. For example, for tech, project equals M-Pesa, personality equals Juliana Rotic, co-founder of iHub, problem equals financial inclusion. Then, create visual flashcards with mind maps. Connect ideas together. How does culture, Afrobeat influence the economy, tourism? How can technology, mobile money improve governance, electronic payments for public services? Watch documentaries, listen to podcasts, like Afronomics or The Continent, and follow social media accounts of Pan-African organizations, AU, African Development Bank. Discuss current issues with your classmates. The more you make the subject concrete and connected to your daily life, the easier it will be to memorize. Don't forget, Pan-Africanism is not a dead subject, it is a reality in motion. SEP. To deepen your understanding of contemporary Pan-Africanism, here are some leads. Reading, the African Union website, au.anis, an essential official source to follow Agenda 2063 and ongoing projects. The African Economic Outlook report from the African Development Bank provides updated economic data. Listening, the podcast The African Tech Roundup explores technological innovation. Afropop Worldwide is excellent for music and culture. Watching, films like L'Afrique de Demain, documentary series like An African City, about the lives of young professionals in Accra. Follow on Twitter or Instagram accounts like at African Union, at AFDB Group, at Young African Leaders, at Mo Ibrahim FDN, Mo Ibrahim Foundation for Good Governance. Open questions: how to reconcile Pan-African unity with the diversity of cultures and languages? C.